welcome.
Let's go.
Week 3 is in the books. Week 4 is a looming. We have a very special guest this week, the one and only Adon. Say hi to everyone, Adon.
Yo, boys. What's good?
Let's go.
Of course, our co-host still is out in the field, bringing us the latest news as always. We got a lot to cover this week, so we'll probably just jump right in. That sounds good with you guys.
That works.
Sounds good.
So
I do want to say one thing. I do want to say one thing while you pull up the matchups. I think week 3, although it's only been 3 weeks, I think we could say that this is one of the most exciting weeks of fantasy in a while. I think we could all agree, a bunch of upsets, really close nail-biting games, a lot of waiver wire guys, a lot of, breakout players that we didn't see before. I think you could agree with that, right, baby? So
100% agree. It's luckily we got to catch the entire thing together.
yeah.
Ups, downs, everything in between, like a roller coaster. It was fun to say the least, exhilarating to say the most here. Don, how'd you feel about this last week?
It felt good to get the monkey off my back and figuring out if Kittle's in, Kittle's not. Picking up Mo Alley Cox was a good idea. It filled in some points that I needed.
Yeah, I think that's one of the bigger pickups of the week, and we'll talk about pickups of the week. We're gonna go pretty fast with the recap this time, as we usually just dive into each one, and it's just repetitive without the same players and people. So let's go ahead and just kick it off with my matchup against Big Boy. The word on the street is that both Anthonys are cursed. I don't know the exact origin, but ever since Cass has won the league, he says he's cursed, and Big says he's cursed as well, I guess, last year since they teamed up. There's more to the story. I'm not sure if you know about it, Dylan, but maybe you could enlighten us a little more on that.
Yeah, man, it seems like, ever since both of them are 2 previous league champions. I've been playing fantasy football with them for a long time, and, both of them are strong players. They've won multiple leagues, not just this one. But it seems as if, just off their most recent victories, like you said, they joined forces. They ended up coming in last place. We were all there. We watched if we weren't there in spirit, we were able to watch the video of the loser's punishment. I don't know if it's some of the hot sauce that they took, but something, messing with them, messing with their brains, with their selection process. I don't know what it is. It looked like they both drafted good teams, but, they're getting the shit end of the stick. Big Boy's 0-3. Cass is 1-2. He had a tough loss this week to me. We watched it, side by side. We watched the whole thing from the 1 o'clock to the 8:30 game. It looks like they can't catch a break, whether it's injuries, whether it's players underperforming, overperforming, whatever it is. I like those 2 guys. I think they're strong managers. I hope they could turn their season around, but it looks like the cards aren't in their favor.
Yeah, I would have to agree. To sum up the match as quick as we can, I did have 3 key injuries into the game. At least Jerick McKinnon didn't come until the 4th quarter, but Jared Cook and Gage went out in roughly the second quarter. I was able to pull out a victory regardless between Aaron Rodgers, Tyreek Hill, and Stephon Diggs and Nick Chubb. Seems to be a good floor for me. I think this is pretty much my floor, and I'll take that. I'm just going to have to find some better weeks if I'm going to beat some of the better teams. Big just didn't have the week he's looking for with his personnel and his depth. Fournette screwed him when he was on his bench, and then screws him again when he puts him in. I think Gurley had a good week. If he can even maintain a 15-point week, I think that's fine for him. Kenyon Drake has not impressed. Landry, I think this is his floor. Unfortunately, you kind of have to either flex him in here and there or just get him out completely. Juju's been outstanding, top 10 receiver. We'll get into that. Kyle Murray is top 5 potential, at least a potential top 5 quarterback, or top 10 for sure. So that's always good. He did get David Johnson the trade. The trade screwed him big time. I guess the timing. Not that it would help too much in this matchup, but I don't know the reasoning behind Boyd. I think I looked at you. I said that on Sunday why Boyd wasn't in his lineup. I wasn't upset because I was playing him, but I'm not sure where the thought process of keeping Boyd on the bench is, but I think that is one way he could have at least competed in this matchup. Other than that, he's got a few injuries, nothing like key players, but I mean, injuries never hurt. But he did some trades to get himself going here. And 0-3 is tough, but I think he's got to climb out of the hole this week. I'm 3-0. I'm on the other side of the spectrum. Not that I want to get comfortable, but that's where it stands. I mean, this is a big 3-0 for me, and a horrible 0-3 for Big. You guys have anything else on that?
I'm good. I got nothing.
I just want to say this. Big Boy has won the league before, starting out 0-3. So, this isn't unfamiliar territory for him. I don't think, he's one to give up. I know he thinks that the cards are stacked against him, but I think that we know that he's going to fight to the end to not be in that loser punishment, discussion. I think that, we talked about this when he drafted. If you look at his bench, he has a lot of depth. I mean, he has guys that went off on his bench. Tyler Boyd could be a starting player on most lineups. Leonard Fournette is a good running back. He has deep running backs. He has Kenyon Drake, who's supposed to have a good year. I think that he has guys that, are poised for a breakout game, but he hasn't had it yet. He only put up, nearly 100 points. In a full PPR league, that's rough. That's not going to get it to you, but I'm not off his team. I said it last week. I said it the week before. And I'm not off him as a manager. So I just hope he doesn't get discouraged. I hope people, don't look down on him, because if you don't take him seriously, I think that he is poised for a big week. I don't see him coming in last again.
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, if he had Boyd and Johnson in on time, it could have been. I'm not trying to do the quick math and think I still might have snuck it out, but even with
but it could have been a game.
It would have been a game, yeah, especially with my key injuries. But so he'll fix it.
Yep.
I think we're pretty sure of that. The last thing I have to say is GG Big. And then we'll move on to Commissioner Sal, the black sheep, against our guest, Adon, the decline trade.
What? No,
That's this week.
the black sheep. Black sheep didn't play the decline trades.
Sorry, black sheep.
No, that's this week. That's
Camarote.
Chris Hansen.
Every day I'm rustling.
I just want to start out by saying this. If me and Cass weren't matchup of the week, this one was. This is a matchup that I have my eyes on, throughout the day. I think this is a crazy upset alert. The Commissioner's team, I mean, what did he put up? 157 points and lost. He probably would have beat just about everybody else in the league. But you know what? Chris Camarote, he had crazy injuries. He lost. We always said that he needed to make the moves. We always said that he was fixated on the same guys. He never made moves. He never drifted outside of his comfort zone. I think he did it this week. I think he made the proper adjustments. He hit the waiver wire. He grabbed Darrell Henderson, who I love. I think he's a great pickup. I'm really proud of Chris Hansen. I think he definitely took some of our advice on the pod. He's a good manager. He's always pretty competitive in the league. Should take anything negative from this. He had a great week. He just got a little bit outmatched. But I think if we're seeing, Weezer put up 150-point weeks, with the kind of team he has, that's a floor for him. So I don't want to dive into it too much, because he still has one of the best teams, if not the best team. But I think it was just Chris Hansen's week. He played his cards right. He put in the right guys. And Russell Wilson, man, I mean, he looks to be a lock for 35, 40 points every week. So as long as he has him in the lineup, Chris has always got a chance. I think Chris Hansen's 3-0. This is a great start for him, considering his points for weren't the greatest. And that's all I have to say. But overall, great matchup. Loved watching it. And congrats to both guys, because they both had good weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we call it an upset, but it was the 2-0 going against the 2-0 this week, the only 2-0 versus 2-0. So should have been the matchup of the week. Ended up being the matchup of the week. And I think the story continues for Chris, because he's got two more key injuries now. One gigantic injury in Godwin, who's expected to miss, I think, 2 weeks is what they're saying. So he's pretty much guaranteed 2 weeks out.
Yeah, man.
Perone, I think, is done. Even though he's not too much of a superstar for him, but I mean, he's running out of options. Henderson was pick up of the week, minus who, which we'll get to. Thielen is fine, and Russell Wilson is still good, but Ertz takes over that tight end spot. Philly, without Goddard, and we don't know if he's going to get Gallup with that three-headed monster in Dallas. So he's running out of options. I really feel for the kid, because he's making moves, and every move he makes it's like the injuries just put him 5 steps behind. You know what I mean? Just look at his bench. So Barkley's gone now, and that, I mean, he does have Justin Jefferson. That's like another dude. He's had 2 of the 3 biggest pickups still between Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Anderson. That's incredible way to fill a team that continues to get hurt. So he's doing his job on that aspect. Sal's team is not too much to say because I think this could be a floor for him. So we may see 150 a week, no problem. It's going to take a week like 160 plus to beat him. So it's possible. Not every, it's not guaranteed. Nothing's ever handed or guaranteed. So what do you think, Dill? Sorry, Adon.
Definitely not looking forward to playing him this week if that's what he put up. And I'm still projected to lose by 10. So, I mean, hopefully my team goes off. I mean, we had a good week last week, but it doesn't help when Fitzgerald's got 3 points and T.Y. Hilton has 8. I feel like Hilton's been like my biggest bust this year so far. He's not been like his normal self. So I think I have a tough matchup this week, to say the least.
And to note, young Ho Koo is out for the season, right? Or for a while at least, I think.
Oh, the superstar kicker.
Yeah.
Don, I wanna ask you this because you're somebody who we've kind of counted out on the waiver wire a little bit. We've kind of counted you out on making moves a little bit. We've seen Chris Camarote do a similar thing where he drafts his same guys. He never makes trades. He never makes moves. He did it this week, and he grabbed some really great players off the waiver wire to plug in for his injuries. He lost Saquon Barkley, first-round pick. He lost Chris Godwin, second-round pick. I mean, he's been through a lot of adversity, and so have you. What could you kind of take from that to move forward? And, where do you think that he did well here? Like, can you give the viewers some advice on what to do? Because there's a lot of injuries, there's COVID, a lot of things going on. What would you say, is the best thing to do when you're dealing with stuff like that?
I think he figured out how to adapt, did some research, figured out who's doing well, what could be potentially boost his lineup, and that really helped. I mean, losing Saquon is huge, especially for the Giants, but him losing his number 1 pick and running back is devastating. But he figured out who can I plug in to put up points and succeeded.
Big time succeeded.
Yeah, man, we've seen a lot of people give up the best. We've seen a lot of people.
Sorry, Joe, your audio's cut out just a little bit, but
up when things like that. I think a lot of people, we see them give up when they deal with things like that. And we've seen Chris, he finished lower in the standings last year. He was fighting to not do the loser's punishment last year, but, he's 3-0. He's fighting for a first-round bye at this point. So I just want to commend Chris again one more time. And I think it was great, how he stepped up. He's been dealing with the most injuries out of anybody, I think. And his injuries were big-name players. I mean, his first 2 picks he lost. It's not like he lost, late-round picks. So that's all I want to say.
Let's not forget, too, he snagged Freeman for a quarterback, basically, who could potentially be an option as well.
Yeah, I mean, Chris has been working trades and waivers, stuff he's never done before. I'm super proud of him for that.
And Sal did lose, or I don't officially lose, but for now lost Deontay Johnson, I believe. Also, we're going to get into some other news. And wait, is this – okay, this is Thompson from Jacksonville. Oh, no, okay, not the guy I was thinking of. But he does have Galladay coming back, so his team is just going to get stronger. So we'll keep an eye on Sal. He has you, Don, next week. That should be interesting. All right, good luck, bud. Real quick before we jump to the next match, I do want to look at the fab if we can. Do we have an idea of what Chris may have paid for these studs, basically off the waiver wire?
Yeah, you can look at it now, or we can look at it at the end.
While we're on the topic, let's see if we can find the fab offers. I'm actually going to filter to him. Oh, so he didn't pay anything then. Okay, I'm not sure why I didn't show up. So he picked up Dale Henderson for $41, which if we want to talk about, that's 41% of the fab. So
Yeah, I placed some bids on him too. I thought that was a good pickup. It looked like, he took over the Rams backfield, but he placed more money. I wasn't that big on him to where I wanted to blow my budget, but he needed to. I mean, the guy lost his RB1, so I think it was a good move, and
that's
Henderson looked good.
that's the hard thing with the fab. It's like, we're never going to suggest to spend $41 on one guy, but sometimes you have to reach out for. It depends on your situation. He's lost
Yeah.
his star running backs, and this guy is becoming a star running back in the making. So.
Yep.
Right now it's paying off. It's not fully paid, for $41. We'll see if it continues, but so far so good. He even picked up T. Higgins today, which I'm not upset about either. I think that's one of the waiver wires I didn't see picked up early this morning. I looked at the initial waiver wires, and I feel like people missed a lot of the key ads this week. But I guess I didn't look since then. So he even got T. Higgins this morning, so he's still making moves. Carlos Hyde, he paid $16 for, 16% on Carlos Hyde. May not have been the best option, but he's trying. You can see all the moves he's making here. So, and then where's the Justin Jefferson? Oh, here he is, Justin Jackson. No, Jefferson, right? Did he draft Justin Jefferson?
I'm not sure.
I guess he never transactioned him. So,
Click on Fab offers to the right.
yeah, there was nothing there for him. Oops. Wish we could see like the history of the players too. I think he might have drafted him in, which would have been an excellent draft pick too.
Yep. Well, anyways, I think that this is I think the amount of moves Chris has made this year is more than we've seen him make in probably the past 2-3 years combined, and it's only been 3 weeks. So definitely bravo to Chris, 3-0. Guys fighting for the number 1 seed right now, and that was a big win. I think he made a big statement game that even though he got banged up and his team was injured, he's no one to be messing with. 160-point weeks are scary for anybody.
Yeah. All right, and the closest matchup of the week would be you and Anthony Cass, the one that we were able to sit through the whole thing between all three of us. So I got to experience it firsthand. I think we know the big standout in this game. None other than the waiver pickup of the week, which was Rex Burkhead, a.k.a. Barry Burkhead Sanders. Blew up for 34.80 points. Dalvin Cook did his thing, top 2 running back. Hopkins, top 2 receiver. So, I mean, those 3 key pieces led you to a victory, literally single-handedly. Your case, I think you just need to fulfill the rest of your team and some depth. Cass, we both agree he's got a ton of potential. He's got way more depth than you do, and he's just struggling to pull it through. What do you think's really stopping him? Especially, was it Crosby's, one more field goal obviously would have done it, but it's got to be more than just your kicker trying to put up 19 points, right?
No, yeah, I think it happened to look that way. That the kicker, he needed one more kick, but his loss is not on that. There were definitely, if it just happened to be that the kicker played at 8:30. But if you look at his depth from top to bottom, if he plugged in anybody to flex besides AJ Green, he was without Michael Thomas this week, who's his first pick, so that's definitely a big hit. But if he flexed Gibson, if he flexed Gaskin, if he flexed Alan Lazard, pretty much if he flexed anybody, if anybody's been watching AJ Green, he looks terrible. I would never advise to start him. He's got like 20 targets. He's got like 4 catches on the season. He's washed up. He's not Joe Burrow's guy. Besides the fact, I think that Melvin Gordon was a big dud. I think with the QB going down over there, the offense hasn't looked good, so he didn't get the RB2 production needed. Austin Eckler had a great day. Matt Ryan, quiet day. Honestly, quiet day for both of our quarterbacks. I think Matt Ryan threw 1 touchdown. Ryan Tannehill didn't throw any. Allen Robinson did his thing. I think that's more of a week we expect to see Allen Robinson have. Allen Robinson's been pretty quiet this season, but he was drafted very highly in a lot of leagues. I think Cass is a good team, man. From top to bottom, he's definitely one of the deeper teams. We've talked about this before. Sometimes it's a problem when your team is so deep because you don't know who the hell to start. And then, your bench ends up doing better than your starters. But, yeah, man, I think that I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but I think, I definitely made a smart play by picking up Burkhead. Did I expect 34 points? No, but I knew that James White wasn't going to be there, so I knew he'd be getting the passing down, role. And because it's a full PPR league, I figured I could, salvage 10 to 15 points. Obviously, 34 points was a big upside, but, I didn't have Julio Jones, so I had to do what I could to salvage some points. Darren Waller is probably my second best player besides Hopkins. didn't do shit. Ryan Tannehill put 34 on my bench last week, didn't do shit this week. My running back salvage of the week, Dalvin Cook, my Lord and Savior. He puts up numbers for me every week. Can't complain about him. And that's kind of the highlights for my team in the matchup. It's definitely one of the craziest matchups because we were all there sitting there watching it, watching the points go up and down. It looked like he was going to kill me early on. Then it looked like I broke away with it. Then he got a late Austin Eckler touchdown, brought him back in. And then, of course, the field goals, man. It was crazy. I mean, you were there with me. Anything you have to add?
Yeah, no. If he gets Michael Thomas and Mostert, which he will, back in this lineup, he's absolutely a playoff team, number one. His starting team specifically will be loaded, and he will have plenty of depth. But you got to make I know it's tough to say, but you got to make the right calls to get those wins that you need. Every win and every loss does matter. It's only a 13-week, segment, and you need to get to 7 to try to hit the playoffs alone. So if we're gonna do a panic button type of thing, 1 being I'm not worried, and 4 being like all out sirens on AJ Green, I'm pretty much at like a solid 3. Like I'm pretty much done with him. You know what I mean? Like I would sit his ass until he shows some consistency. That's pretty much where I'm at with AJ Green. I wouldn't hit the full panic button with him yet, but I would put him on the bench and then just kind of plug in from there. I mean, I'm hitting myself in the head for dropping Alan Lazard. I went to go pick him back up, and he got him. Obviously, he picked him up. Nothing I could do there. I would have plugged him in with Devontae being out, but that's me. It's easier said than done, when it comes to fantasy. That's pretty much it. I mean, how about you though on your side? Well, first of all, how do you feel about AJ Green as far as panic button, and what are you doing about your team trying to fill out the other spots that your holes?
We could talk about it when we're going over the fab budgets, the waiver wire moves. But I just added Brandon Ayuk, 49ers. He's the number 1 wide receiver. He's a rookie. I liked him in college. Drafted him in a few leagues. I was happy I got him off the waiver wire. I'm probably gonna end up flexing him. If Julio Jones is not good to go, I'm gonna move Corey Davis into my wide receiver 2 because Corey Davis seems to be giving me that floor of around 12 points. He put up 17, he put up 11, then he put up 12, I think. So that's pretty good floor for him. I'm going to throw Brandon Ayuk into my slot. And, I'm still figuring out the RB2 as we go. I know Dalvin Cook's set to give me numbers. I think Darren Waller will have a bounce-back week. I think, we'll never see that from him again. Hopkins is my guy. He's giving me numbers. I think my team could put up numbers. I think that you might be looking around a floor for me. I think I got my 3 studs that are top-heavy, and then the rest are kind of filling the pieces. But everybody that knows me knows that, I'm going to be on that waiver wire. I'm going to find the pieces. I'm making moves every day. I'm usually lead the league in moves, or I'm up there. So I think that I have my 3 or 4 studs that I'm going to rock with, and then I got to fill in the rest of the puzzle. But I'm going to get there. I think I don't think I'm the best team, but I think, I can compete. And I think that this showed it because this was a big week. 0-3 is not the worst thing, but you never want to start that way. I think salvaging that win was huge for me.
Yeah, it's a long season, guys. Remember, step 1 is getting there, and then find that rhythm late and see who's clicking in the last couple of weeks. 14, 15, 16 specifically.
Don, what do you think of our matchup? Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's insane. It's definitely a heartbreaker to lose by 2 points, but you put up like a good fight. Losing 2, you just hope to bounce back the next week.
Well, Don, you know that feeling. I beat you by half a point in week 1.
Yeah, that was terrible. It was awful.
It's something you want to fast forward to the next week for it, definitely. So I know how it's feeling.
You get knocked down, you get back up, and you try to put together a better team the next week.
That's it, man. That's all you can do. That next play mentality, right, Tom? So
absolutely.
How do you guys feel about AJ Green panic button from 0 being or 1 being I'm not worried, 4 being absolutely worried?
What do you think, Don? Have you been watching?
I always used to have him. I have the jersey, but he hasn't been the same since he got hurt. And Burrow's a good quarterback, but Green's not helping himself.
I agree.
I would definitely hit the panic button on him now, to be honest.
If you would have told me he would have got this many targets and been on the field healthy, I would never have told you this would have been the production and not even seen the end zone yet. I would at least hope he would have got end zone, some touchdowns.
I still think he's probably pretty banged up. Once you get hurt, you're never the same regardless of who you are. And he was a type top wide receiver in the league.
There's a long season left, but I don't think you could trust him anymore at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd keep him benched.
All right. So some good advice for Cass. I think he knows that. And then just to finish the matchups up, because I don't like to spend too much time on this, but those happen to be our matchups, so we spend a little more time than usual. So we had Junior versus Luca Adduchio, who was our number 2 power ranking and number 1 prior to that. So he's been in the top 2 power ranking. And I think Junior's just had terrible luck last 2 weeks. He's had solid weeks and just played the number 1, number 2, and that he just couldn't keep up with. I think that's what it literally comes down to. He did have that huge trade in here he is, Robinson, right? What's his first name? James? Yeah, James Robinson. I think is an excellent pop right now, RB1. Mike Davis could be a very good RB2 until McCaffrey gets back for him. Other than that, Junior has a complete team. I don't know if he has a lot of depth, which we've said every week. I'm not going to keep harping on the same things. Luca Adduccio's team is, with Alvin Kamara, Tyler Lockett, that and Jacobs. That alone can just win you, and Lamar Jackson can literally win you every single game, the entire championship right there. So he'll be fine. He's got depth. I think this game went the way it should be, Dill. I don't think anything went wrong here. I just think this is just what it is. Right?
Yeah, I think we all saw that coming. I think we all, if we had to bet, we would put our money on, the 2-0, probably the best team out of the draft, Luca Adduchio, getting the win over Junior Koempel. But I want to say this. I don't think this is a loss for Junior Koempel. Obviously, on the score sheet it is, and on his record it is. But I think this is the best his team has looked in a couple weeks, considering he's dealt with the injury. Sorry about that. Considering he's dealt with his McCaffrey injury. And, we always said that Junior didn't have depth. If you look at his roster the first 2 weeks, his bench was really rough, probably the roughest in the league. His team got a lot better. He made some trades. He made some moves, which I'm proud of him about. He had a decent week. 136 is not a bad week. He probably would have beaten me. He would have beaten you. There's teams that get wins with, 135 points. And that's without his first-round pick, Christian McCaffrey. I think he finally found a good lineup, that he could roll with. I think he finally found some depth. So even though he's 0-3, I'm not off Junior Koempel's team either. I don't think that he's going to come in last. I think he's better ever since he lost the league 2 years ago. He's been better than that. He's always competing. I just want to make sure that, no one's down on him, including himself. I think this is a good week for him. He just ran into a brick wall, man.
Yeah, there's no doubt James Robinson's gonna fill in a big hole for him. They could have even got him in this game. So he'll be okay. 0-3 sucks, but it's we've seen it at least twice. We've seen champions come from 0-3 or 0-4. So moving on, we got 2 more matches. We had the defending champion, the K9 himself, Joey Koempel versus Nick Santuccio and Danny.
I want to start with Don here. And the reason I want to start with Don has come to support my games, rocking his Pat Mahomes jersey. I know he's a big Pat Mahomes guy. He was pulling for him in the Super Bowl. Anthony Donohue, how do you feel that Joey Koempel sat Patrick Mahomes, his second overall pick, who put up 50 points on his bench and single-handedly cost him the week? Do you think that's one of the worst moves in fantasy history, benching Pat Mahomes for Gardner Minshew? Do you find that as ridiculous as I do? Don, I need to know your take, bro.
I'm going to put him on blast here, and I'm going to be mean about it. It was the dumbest fucking thing he could have done. I don't know if I'm a lot of cars on this, but it just happened. The guy is unbelievable. The guy's already won a league MVP and Super Bowl MVP, and it looks like he's getting sacked. He gets out of it and just throws bombs. How would you not want one of the best players in the league, if not the best player in the league, in your lineup?
It's also amazing that Patrick Mahomes put up an equal 50 points.
Yeah.
Unreal.
For Gardner Minshew, who's could sophomore slump, it was okay last year, but I wouldn't sit Mahomes for Minshew. Not at all.
This one's very simple. He made the most bonehead, literally 30,000 times worse than anything even Don's done, even in his early career. Lost him the game single-handedly, and other than that, this was absolutely the worst game of the week, lowest scoring game of the week. But at the same time, it's a big one for Nick and Danny. There's no doubt about that. It's a big win for them, getting on the win column here. I believe that was their first win, which it was. Brings Joey to 2-1, and something like this may seem like his first win, but this can go down like 8 weeks from now. This could matter, you know. Like Joey could miss the playoffs by one game or half a game, and it could be because he fucking met Patrick Mahomes on a 50-point week, nonetheless. So I'm not even going to touch too much on that game. That's just absolutely absurd. Hopefully we get Joey's take on that at some point.
Yeah, I just want to say that
Go ahead, Joe.
I want to say that Tuch and Danny, I think, stole a win there. The reason I say that is because they really only dropped, 119 points. They didn't even break 120. That's not really a good week for full PPR league. But it was a win they desperately needed. So if they had to capitalize on somebody else's mistake, so be it. I think Joey's going to regret this, man. I always say this, and I got to keep saying it because people don't listen. Don't get cute, especially this early on in the season. Don't get cute. You drafted Patrick Mahomes second overall, not to bench him. If you draft a QB second overall, you're playing him every single week unless he has a bye week or if he's injured. I don't care if Patrick Mahomes is playing against King Kong out there. Have you ever seen Patrick Mahomes drop a dud? He's always throwing for a touchdown or two. I mean, this guy just went against the 49ers in the Super Bowl, and who had the best defense last year. He put up numbers, still threw for almost 300 yards. Like, I don't understand the thought process, man. I know Joey regrets this, so I don't want to beat the dead horse, but this has got to be the worst move we've ever seen in fantasy. And coming from the league champion, I just don't know what to say.
You got to understand matchup, too. Like, okay, cool. Minshew's playing the Dolphins, fine. But the Chiefs are playing the Ravens. We know that's going to be a shootout type of game. Those are potentially the best two in the AFC, at least we could say, are just going at it. And obviously the Chiefs just decimated them. But, you know, even if it was just like a regular quarterback, if you're just comparing two quarterbacks, you know, look at the matchups too. And
but the thing is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what matchup.
Mean, you know, I don't want that to be an excuse either because you wanted to see Minshew playing on Thursday, you know, night football or whatever, you know. It's just there's no justification for that. It's just it's actually sickening.
When you have Patrick Mahomes, you don't care about the matchup, dude. It doesn't matter.
I think I started him hurt last year. So let's just remember Dilla's in the field, so he may cut in and out, unfortunately.
If he's playing a super team, you start. No, it doesn't matter the matchup.
No.
It's like me benching Dalvin Cook because, you know, he's going up against.
Yeah. Definitely not. And then we got one more matchup. The last matchup is Luke Liguori. Oh no, first Don. This was your matchup, Don. This is your big victory. Want to touch on it real quick?
Upset.
Yeah, it was definitely nice to get the monkey off the back. I got good production from Keenan Allen, which is nice. I think Herbert's given him life, and I like to thank the doctor who fucked up the needle, as bad as that is to say. But I really got good production out of my running backs this week, and that's really what I needed because I took Henry as my first pick. And he's kind of been like up and down, and he finally had a big game. And then getting another big game from Connor was great. And then picking up Mo Alley-Cox like late in the week was a great pick because I saw it 111 yards in week 2. And Kittle's status has been iffy. I thought he might have played against the Giants, but he got ruled out, I think, on Saturday. So I picked up Cox, and it wound up working out. My problem is my flex.
That might have been your single-handedly best, I don't know about maybe only, but best, waiver pickup or move, period, or just move. I don't know. You do a lot of moves, but you are the decline trades. That was one of the top 3 easily best pickups of the week. So we're big proud on you on that. But yeah, the flex. Don't forget you have Sony Michel lurking around, Hunter Renfrow, obviously, that I think you're trying to plug in. So you have both of them. Maybe just look for some more depth beyond that.
Thank you, appreciate it. But I put in Renfrow. He's supposed to put up 14, so could see how he does.
It is PPR, so if Renfro's going to get the targets, depending on who's playing in that wide receiver field, I would trust Renfrow over a running back like Michelle. But Sony Michel might have a little bit more upside maybe with touchdowns.
Thank you. It's
And,
great advice.
Yeah, I think just look at the reports. You know, Renfro depends on the wide receivers playing for Las Vegas. That's about it. Luke gets Mr. Chark back this week. He does have Carson and Sanders. If Carson can they get on the same page in 1 week, it'd be nice. Mark Andrews has been MIA since week 1. So Luke's got a solid team. Not a lot of depth, unfortunately, but he can put up some numbers. I don't think he's going to be out of the contention. I think he'll be fighting for a playoff spot, 6, 7, 8, like in that range. I see in that. Don, you're pretty much currently in that range, but you have the ability to kind of really get into that 6th or 5th spot easily. You just got to keep it going.
It's nice to be in it this year and actually get a decent draft grade for once.
We'll just look at the standings really quick. Obviously, it's here on the screen. Yeah, you're in 10th. I mean, your points for are a little low, so you're going to want to get the win column going. If you can't go head to head with the points for, you're really just going to try to get those wins. But
yeah, I definitely think this week's going to be tough. So just got to pick up the wins.
Even you'll take the 7, 8, 9, 10 spot where you don't have to even compete for last place. Even that would be.
In 3 years, I've Houdini'd out of that 3 times. So hopefully it changes.
Either way, it seems to be that's your game you win anyway.
But I'd rather be better than winning out of the losers bracket.
I do want to point out that Junior has no fab budget left. I got knocked on hard for the fab budget last year, and I have 88. I have one of the most fab budgets left. I mean, you want to be spending your fab, for a good cause, but Junior has absolutely none. Gills obviously needed a lot of help, so he's spent most of his. Chris, I mean, you can see the ones that are moving or losing their fab, but it's all perspective. It's all what you need when you need it. That I think that's what it comes down to. I think you have to take fab advice with a grain of salt and just do what's best for you. That's it. I mean, I got there. I mean, I did spend a lot of my percentage early on last year, but I ended up with Chark, and I got to play second. So again, it's all what you need. So, Bill, you still with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We know you're traveling. We appreciate you still co-hosting. You got anything to add before we move on to the rankings, the running back rankings?
I want to ask Don something real quick. I want to say this. We've seen Don come back and be resilient before, when he lost George Kittle. And he dug into the waiver wire. He picked up Mo Alley-Cox. That was a good pickup. But what is he going to do if Derrick Henry and James Conner can't play? Because that's an elephant in the room that we need to address. We saw that Titans players, some of them were diagnosed with COVID. This could be a problem. This could affect multiple people in the league. It's definitely going to affect my team. And, I mean, these are Don's RB1 and RB2. So I know that Don's dealing with something. But
we got breaking news, Dylan. It's just in. Let me read the report. So apparently, the Titans and Steelers game have been postponed as of now. They're waiting on test results come Saturday. The facilities are closed. They're going to try to stay on schedule, but most likely, pending test, that the game may be moved to Monday or a Tuesday night game. Tuesday night football. What do you guys think about that?
It would be interesting to see a Tuesday night game. We've never seen one in pro sports, and it would definitely make history. It would be kind of fitting for this year for us to see something we haven't seen before.
But sadly, exactly what Dill was just trying to ask you may actually come to tuition, Dill. If you want to finish what you're talking about, sorry for the breaking news, but we've confirmed that what you're talking about might be taking place, might actually happen.
Okay.
Still there, Dill?
Yeah, I'm here. We can move forward. Just wanted to hear Don's take on that.
Yeah, so
I
since
think it's
pretty much
going to be
that
tough.
moves-
I have to figure out at least by tomorrow or Saturday who I'm putting in those spots, because there were key contributors in my lineup in my win last week, and it's going to be tough to replace the two of them if I have to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're replaceable, to be honest. These aren't replaceable players in a sense, especially not both of them. You know, you're not the only one, but you're definitely in the worst scenario with with both of those two running backs. I don't know if we have to get with our commissioner, but there might have to be a plan in place just in case, because my personal opinion is, I mean, I think we can all agree it's no one's fault that they don't play. There's talks that they make it a bye week, but I don't know. What do you guys think? The whole thing is new. It's obviously new territory.
I mean, I think we should get like a day extension, but I don't know if we can. Because, I mean, it's in the same week, but it's just not
Yeah. I mean, it just
like
says
a regularly
postponed.
scheduled game.
So it has officially been postponed. That's crazy. I mean, the one thing I was thinking of is, you know, gets canceled. Like, is there a way to get two of your bench players put in? But how do we choose that? Just the two that did the best? Like, that's a little weird. The whole thing is weird, man. I hope this is not the first of many to come. You know.
Agreed.
Yeah. Hopefully it blows over.
Agreed. Again.
Reading the report, it does have some positive news. The Vikings, who played the Titans last week, have 0 test results come back so far, at least. So they're scheduled to play as normal as of now.
That's good.
Good news for anyone who has those players. You specifically, Dill, would be one of them with Dalvin Cook. So how would you feel if tests end up coming back?
Absolutely. It looks like Rex Burkhead would have to get the nod again.
Yeah. It would be a lot easier to fill 1 than 2. I mean, not in your case, maybe, Dill, but no. But this is something that I think we just have to be prepared for going forward. This is reality. This is what we're living through. So, you think Commissioner can maybe come up with an idea or ideas to maybe work around this?
Yeah. I don't know what the plan is. I think as long as the game is played, I think we'll be fine. Even if the game is played on Tuesday, the points will just factor into your score. You know, from this, Thursday, Sunday, Monday game, so it wouldn't be a problem. If the game is canceled as a whole, that's a slippery slope. I don't know what the commissioner is going to do, but I trust him in making the right decision. And we'll probably be talking about it in the
I agree.
chat this week.
I agree. All right, we're going to move to the running back rankings and then the wide receiver rankings for this week. Start with our running backs. So on screen, I'm just going to filter the season total for all running backs. This isn't the order that we have them in, but just so people can get some perspective of how people have performed. You'll see their fantasy points here and so forth. So, I mean, the true number one, you guys are free to put in your input as we go. I have Alvin Kamara as the absolute number 1 running back heading into week 4. I don't think that's debatable as a number 1. Number 2, we have Dalvin Cook. Number 3, I have Ezekiel Elliott. Number 4 is Aaron Jones. 5, James Robinson. That might come to a little bit of a surprise, but based off his performance and his production and just his amount of his workload, I have him at 5. Josh Jacobs, I put at 6. I have Derrick Henry at 7. Nick Chubb at 8. Austin Eckler at 9. and James Conner at 10. I'm going to stop there real quick. And let's just be honest, rankings are subject to change. They're subject to change pretty quickly. They do not only just per week, but let's just assume some of these guys who are injured, like a Mostart, if he gets healthy within next week or by Sunday, I mean, he fits in the top 10 right away. So we're just going off of what we have healthy and what we're going into week 4 and what has been produced so far. What do you guys think about the top 10? Are you done?
I mean, I'm happy I have 2 of them, but let's see
Yeah.
what happens this week.
You do. You got my number 7 right now, Derrick Henry, and you got the number 10, James Conner, who I definitely thinks deserves to be in the top 10. You have any take on the top 10, Dill? Anyone else you believe should be in there or shouldn't be in there? Like Rex Burkhead should be in the top 10 probably.
One thing I do want to say that is pretty scary. If you look at Weezer's team, he's got Aaron Jones, and he has Zeke. So he has 2 of the top 4 or 5 on his team, which is a scary, scary thing to think about. So then when we're talking about powerhouses, man, when you got those 2 workhorses, Aaron Jones could bust out a 40-point week, as can Zeke. That just shows to tell, how dangerous his team is. Other than that, I just think that you're right, how it's very subject to change. I mean, nobody knew who James Robinson was probably a week or 2 ago. Now he's in the top 10. It's kind of crazy, but things like that happen. So you definitely keep your eyes peeled. If you don't have a running back this week, you might find one next week.
Yeah, it also shows how important that move was for Junior, even though he's 0-3. Also, Austin Eckler can crack even higher than 9. I don't think I could have kept him out of the top 10. We just need to see will he continue to be used or targeted in that passing game, and I think he can crack even a top 5 or top 6 even. I think I gave him a fair ranking for now. I'm going to move on to the next group. We have Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 11, Jonathan Taylor at 12. A lot of people do have Taylor up in the top 10. I can understand why. I don't believe he's ahead of the guys I've named. Mike Davis moves up to 13th for me, even though he's a plug and play until McCaffrey or a handcuff until McCaffrey gets back. Chris Carson 14, Darrell Henderson the second at 15, Todd Gurley the second, if I'm saying that correctly, at 16. Miles Sanders at 17, Kenyon Drake at 18, Joe Mixon at 19, Melvin Gordon at 20, Kareem Hunt at 21, David Johnson at 23, David Montgomery at 24, and Jerick McKinnon at 25. 26, I have good old Rex Burkhead, who could easily continue to move up in these rankings very easily if we can see the same production. 27, I have Jeff Wilson Jr. 28, Mark Ingram II. A lot of seconds, huh? 29, I have Devin Singletary. And 30, Myles Gaskin. And then basically we have some honorable mentions in Sony Michel, Ronald Jones II, Leonard Fournette, sharing that backfield with Ronald Jones, Chase Edmonds, the Hall of Fame to be Adrian Peterson, Antonio Gibson, and Nike Hines, all looking to get into the top 30. What do you guys think?
Sounds
Anyone
good.
else you would have had on that list that I'm missing out on?
Honestly, I just want to say that Joe Mixon's been such a disappointment. I have him in another league, drafted him early. It's crazy that he can't get anything going. I think that we're going to see, definitely some guys break out that we're, not keeping our eyes on. Definitely those backups that are filling in for the injuries right now, like a guy like Mike Davis. He's not going to put up McCaffrey numbers, but for people that were able to pick him up, not necessarily this league because Junior has him as his handcuff,
But in another league, I don't even have McCaffrey, but I just picked Davis up just to plug him in for a few weeks. Now, there's guys like that, like Mike Davis, Rex Burkhead, guys, when people go down, you could plug a guy in for a week or two, and they can give you production. Running back's a lot about volume. So not necessarily the best running backs always produce, the greatest numbers. Saquon Barkley, talent-wise, is one of the best running backs in the league. And even before he got hurt, he wasn't putting up great numbers for the Giants. Even the first game, he had like 10 total yards. A lot of it's about value, man. I mean, we've seen guys that, aren't the greatest skill-wise, but, they're getting 20 touches a game. They're getting 5 catches a game. So definitely consider things like that, when you're trying to fill in your running back spots. And like I said, man, the guys in this list that we're seeing, 20, 30, might be 10 next week.
Yeah, especially this early on. But Kenyon Drake right next to Joe Mixon, 18 and 19, those are 2 very big disappointments. And, I mean, I have to keep them in the top 20 for now. It's still a little early. But they've both been big disappointments. Even Melvin Gordon dropping off after his performance is a disappointment, I feel like. But there's also guys behind them that are, like you're talking about, are on the up, like Devin Singletary and a Rex Burkhead, a Myles Gaskin, So just keep your eyes out. I mean, there's still guys who are potentially on the waiver wire that we may see. So we'll see how this plays out. Basically, anyone who's listed in the top 25 is pretty much a RB1 or 2 start. So if you're starting someone who we didn't mention, that's probably not a good idea. Out of with the honorable mentions, it's about 35 players, so 36 players. So we're going to move on to the wide receivers, unless anyone has anything else on the running backs. Don, do you want to touch on it at all?
Nope, I'm good.
You just want your 2 top 10s to play, basically, right?
Of course. It's the goal.
So the wide receiver thing is completely different or flipped to my perspective of what you would want to see from up to week 4. It's crazy. It's all over the place in a sense. But I think the big thing to note here is the injuries. There's injuries on the running back side as well. We talked about Mostert, Saquon Barkley, but there was a lot of injuries on the wide receiver. I don't know what that it has to do with route running. I don't know what it is, but I'm just gonna start off with the key injuries. Okay, we're talking about like key injuries. We have Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, DJ Chark Jr., AJ Brown, Russell Gage, Jamison Crowder. This may not be the entire list, but these are my notable injuries. So we're talking about 3 of the top 3 going into the year, and everyone else, DJ Chark, AJ Brown, Russell, those are 2 big names as well, tier 2 wide receivers, and Russell Gage and Crowder are nothing to sleep on either. But and I believe, Dill, if you can think off the top of your head, I think there's more than that.
Yeah, I think wide receiver injuries are a big thing, but that's where we're seeing those guys that, on the depth chart, Julio Jones is probably the number 1 in Atlanta, but you're seeing guys like Gage, you're seeing guys like Ridley really emerge. And that's what PPR is all about, man. There's a lot of guys that, are the main, the big guy, the deep threat, the one that draws all the attention, the one that usually scores the touchdowns, that gets, draws the greatest corner that's covering them. But PPR is really about catches and volume, man. So there's guys like how we talked about it before. There's guys like Hunter Renfrow, guys like Julian Edelman. That these guys aren't, the biggest guys that are going to stretch the field. But these guys are seeing, 8 to 10 targets a game, little dump-offs over the middle. Even things like that, guys that are little check-down guys. Jamison Crowder, I know the Jets suck, but he was catching, I think he caught like 11 targets his first week. He caught like 8 or 9 passes. Guys like that, wide receiver is a very fillable position. There's a lot of guys that, like I said, they're not big names, but they catch a lot of balls. They might be low-key. Some guys only get you, 9 catches for 60 yards. That's nothing crazy, but that's 15 points. So that's why I think we see the wide receiver position vary a little bit. Of course, I'd love to see my guy Hopkins up there at number 2. I think, he gives you a little bit of both. He gets a lot of catches, but he also stretches the field and scores touchdowns as well, which is great. But yeah, there's a lot of guys here. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, they both play for the same team, but they're both up here, in the top 10, top 20 area. I see them over there.
Lock it in.
And yeah, Edelman's down there on that page too. So, yeah, man, I think the wide receiver is definitely a different position than running back, but you could still find some solid guys in the waiver wire if you're thin.
Yeah, so one thing that jumps out to me now that I didn't really notice much before, and I usually do this on my phone, so I don't get to see as much stats in one picture, which I kind of like like the view of this. Look at someone like your DeAndre Hopkins, who has 37 targets, but he has 32 receptions, right? The percentage is very, very high on that. Very high on that. That's actually incredible. Look at Amari Cooper, who has 35, almost the same target count, but only 25 catches. And Allen Robinson, who has 31 targets and 18 catches. There's another one, Keenan Allen, 37 targets, 24 catches. And these are big names. So look how much like meat they're leaving on the bone there, Dill. And something I never really realized until looking at this. Obviously, these are still big name guys, but do we just be patient? So I guess my question is, we didn't have a preseason, right? We're week 4 now, which essentially would be almost not even heading into the season yet. So are we seeing a lot of that because of everything that's happened? These aren't exactly percentages that these guys put up usually.
Yeah, I think it's crazy, but it's also nice to see some of the young players emerging. We talked about Chris Camarote picking up Justin Jefferson. I think that was a great move. CD Lamb looks to be getting involved in the Dallas offense. A lot of teams are playing a little bit differently. I don't know if it has to do with the preseason, where maybe guys we expected to do good didn't get a chance to build some camaraderie with their quarterbacks. And then, on the other end of the spectrum, we're seeing rookies that didn't really get any time to play with their quarterbacks that are suddenly emerging. So I think, wide receiver is a very unpredictable position, unlike running back. Because, running back, you kind of know when a guy's going to get 20 touches. Ezekiel Elliott's getting 20 touches a game. Dalvin Cook's getting 20 touches a game. You could predict that regardless of who he's playing. Wide receivers are different, man. Sometimes a wide receiver is double covered, so then that leaves room for the slot guy or the third guy to get a lot of catches. It's more variable. It's more volatile position, but it also leads up for a lot of reward. So, guys that have guys like Calvin Ridley, things of that nature, who, normally at the draft, you would have taken Julio Jones over Calvin Ridley, but Calvin Ridley is the number 1 wide receiver in football right now. So, volatile position, but I think that's what makes fantasy fun. And, man, I think I like to see people putting wide receivers in their flexes too. A lot of people are big on running backs, but wide receivers put up the most points in PPR, man, especially guys that catch the ball a lot.
No, it's very true. My thing with this list that is coming up, I gave 25 and it's like a cliff. I think the drop off, and there's a bunch of honorable mentions, but up and comings, but the list is not as big as I thought for wide receivers, and maybe because the injury list is so big, and we're trying to have guys emerge. But this is what I put together. I got DeAndre Hopkins as number 1. I think he's the most reliable source week in and week out. And there are mouths to feed there. Isabella took 2 touchdowns away from him last week, and he still had his production. But he's the true number 1 there. I think he just gets the amount of targets that we want to see in production. He just needs to hit the end zone a little more. Think about it. If he got 1 or 2 more touchdowns, he's the number 1 guy easily as far as points total. Number 2 has to be for me Tyler Lockett. I think he's it's just that offense number 1. They're just doing unbelievable. The chemistry between him and Russell Wilson is just it's unmatched. There's just nothing like it. And then it's also brewing on the other side of the field. We'll get to in a second. I got Tyreek Hill in my number 3. I think he's been excellent, but I think there's a lot more upside to him that he hasn't shown yet. So to be 1, 2, 3, so 5th most points now, and he hasn't hit his full potential. To me, he's a no-brainer, top 3 for me. At least especially with the big names out. Calvin Ridley has to go 4. I can't push him down the list anymore with his obviously 82 points so far, 4 touchdowns. If Julio Jones is out, he could be the number 1. He could fly up to the number 1, and I would respect that. But when Julio Jones gets back, he probably gets a little bit of a bump down, even though he still produces. He still hits the end zone, which is big for him. He's a big end zone touchdown guy this year. And then I have number 5. I have Stephon Diggs. Another guy he's in a new home, but I think he's their go-to. I think what was it, 2 or 3 touchdowns that he got called back last week after finally finding the end zone?
Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3.
So I don't think he's another one of my players, but I don't think he's maxing out his potential either. I think he's got a lot of upside, but they've been consistent, nonetheless. So, and with the big names out, I'm going to give him 5. Number 6 for me has to be DK Metcalf. He's on the other side of Tyler Lockett. I don't know if that's helping him benefit, but he's starting to build a good rapport with his boy Russell Wilson as well. That guy's an absolute monster. If he didn't have that stupid, mistake, he would have had an extra touchdown would have put him another 7 points higher than where he's at. Way more than that. That was at least a 10-point play, right? That was a pretty deep touchdown. So,
Yeah, probably 10, 11-point play.
Easy. Number 7, Keenan Allen. We see the targets, 37. He just has to catch more damn balls and again, find the end zone. But he's a number 7 for me. Juju Smith-Schuster on the up. He's my number 8. Hopefully he gets to play or Big's in big trouble. But he's my number 8. Tyler Boyd, number 9. So Big potentially has the number 8 and number 9 if he plays his damn number 9 receiver. Do we know the story on that? Do you have any more intel? Like, do you have any inside news on that? Why he didn't play Boyd?
What is that?
Do you know any reasoning behind keeping Boyd on the bench in week 3?
Well, I could tell you that I watched that Thursday night football game the week prior when they played the Browns with Big Boy. And he was upset about the way Tyler Boyd was doing. I know that Joe Burrow looked his way once in the end zone and Tyler Boyd dropped a wide open touchdown. Me and Big Boy, I have him in a different league, so we were both kind of upset about that. I don't know if that kind of stuck in Big's head. Maybe he saw all the targets going AJ Green's way, even though AJ Green wasn't catching all of them. AJ Green saw 13 targets. Maybe that dissuaded him a little bit. But overall, I think, like I said, you play your studs. I think that he was drafted as to be one of his better receivers under Juju. I think those are 2 great guys that if they are playing, you should start them every week. I like Tyler Boyd. He's more of a, kind of possession guy, quick guy through the middle. He doesn't catch a whole lot of deep balls, but, the way AJ Green's been playing, maybe he'll get some more looks. And then a name you said, though, that I want to touch on, Keenan Allen. I have him in another league. I was really happy with his production, and I know Don has him. Don, did you draft him, thinking that he was going to be a top 10 guy? Because he had a rough year last year, and we didn't know what the quarterback situation was going to be with the Chargers. Are you happy with his production? You think he can keep that up, and you think that maybe Herbert helps him?
I definitely think Herbert helps him, and he's definitely his safety blanket, which is good. It's just he's got to get in the end zone more. But I liked his production this week, and I hope it continues. But it was definitely a good pick where I got him, I think, in the 2nd or 3rd round. And I know he's been good in the past, so I kind of relied on that.
He got 19 targets last week. 19 targets. I'm not sure what the record is, but that's incredible amount of targets. If you feed anyone that type of caliber, that type of target share, they're going to be a top 10 receiver every damn year, every week. So, and they're just going to get better. Remember, he's a rookie, so the report isn't all there yet. This is basically their preseason, like we said. So they're pretty much just be getting into the week 1, and so it'll just get better there. But the Boyd thing, to me, I think I learned that the hard way. Dill taught me that, especially last year, with Diggs. Diggs was putting up some 2-point weeks every other week. So it was hard for me to trust him. But even though he was mad at Boyd, he still ended up finding the end zone late, and he put up 20 points. He still had the 7 receptions and that touchdown. If you really are down on someone and you're upset or whatever the case is, trade them. Right? I mean, may not essentially. I don't think it was like selling him low. He still put up 20 points. You could probably sell kind of high on that. I mean, I would take Tyler Boyd. I don't see who wouldn't.
Yeah, if you have these elite players that you're not big on, that you don't think they're producing, I suggest trading them because you could still get value for them rather than letting these guys that you drafted in the earlier rounds sit on your bench and collect dust. Definitely reach out to the trade market. There's people that are looking for receivers with that might not be doing well, but that have some high upside. I'm on the other spectrum where Julio Jones was supposed to go through the roof, but his upside's minimized right now. So, things of that nature is something that I'm struggling with. But, for people that, have guys like the Tyler Boyds of the world, players like that, they're kind of shaky, that they have a really good week 1 week and then bad the next week. And, you don't know what to do with them. If you don't want to start them, seek the waiver wire, man. Seek the, trade them and then maybe pick someone else up in the place. Trade them for a running back and pick up a receiver that you can get for, cheaper value. So, look at things like that.
Why not just pick up T. Higgins on that same team? If you feel like
guys, that's what I'm talking about when I say hit the waiver wire. Guys like that.
We get to them anyway, but I think we're on the same page with that. Try to take emotions out of it. I know that's hard to say. I get it, but it's you don't know these guys personally. They don't know you personally. They're out there doing a job. So, and they are human too. So moving on, I got Amari Cooper to finish out the top 10. Same thing, target shares there. He hasn't caught as many balls as he probably should have, but beyond that, he hasn't seen the end zone yet. And there's a lot of mouths to feed there, but I think he still kind of teeters that top 10 area. But with those key injuries out, I mean, it's hard for me to keep him out of the top 10. I think after that, there's somewhat of a drop off for who's healthy. At 11, I go Robert Woods. 12, Allen Robinson. 13, Mike Evans. Note on Mike Evans, if Godwin's out for 2 weeks, he can easily get into top 6, top 5 potential. If he does more than just touchdowns, which is always good. Touchdowns are good, but he needs to get more target share. Where's Mike Evans? So I want to look at his stats really fast. What's going on here? Every day we're wrestling. 2 receptions, 2 yards, and 2 touchdowns. We talked about that on Sunday as we were watching the games. Still put up 14 points because of it, but hopefully his target share and receptions go way up with Godwin's out. That's what I'm thinking. Beyond that, Adam Thielen is number 14, Terry McLaurin at 15, Cooper Kupp at 16. Guy on the rise that I may probably throw higher than most people. Justin Jefferson up at 17. Kenny Golladay, now that he's supposed to be healthy, at 18, another guy that can skyrocket to top 10, potentially close to it. 19, I have Julian Edelman. 20, Odell Beckham Jr. 21, DJ Moore. 22, CeeDee Lamb. 23, Michael Gallup. Kind of have them kind of interchangeable 1 week it's kind of hard to tell who's going to go off. 24, Will Fuller. 25, John Brown. Both guys with still upside that are pretty much MIA. John Brown threw up a big 0. Fuller, I think, has put up a 0 week 2. These guys have a lot of upside, but they don't have any floor really. They're just, the consistency is not good. But you can see the drop off that I was talking about. My big thing too, we talked about the panic button on AJ Green. Dill, what do you think about the panic button on a DJ Moore, who's a big draft candidate?
Yeah, I mean, DJ Moore is somebody I got rid of. Everyone knows I traded him after week 1. And, I'm kind of happy that I did because it's just the way that offense has been looking. I mean, we were sitting there watching it. Teddy Bridgewater just hasn't been really moving the ball well. It doesn't look like he's established camaraderie with any of his receivers. DJ Moore was a beast last year, with Kyle Allen as his QB. And, I was expecting similar production. But Teddy Two Gloves hasn't been getting it done. I don't know if it's the offense. Maybe they're not flowing right without McCaffrey. I think we all know that when McCaffrey is there, that's what the offense flows through. Yeah, I mean, we watched the game at your house. They kicked like 6 or 7 field goals. They couldn't find the end zone to save their lives. They weren't moving the ball well. The defense was giving them good positioning, and, they still couldn't score. So, yeah, man, kind of happy I traded them away.
It was a big slide weekend. That's all I remember.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that offense, but, a lot of things that I noticed in fantasy is if you just draft guys on good teams that are rolling well, you'll get points.
Correct.
If you want to have every piece of a good offense. You know what I mean? I mean, if you want to be part of Patrick Mahomes' offense and grab a piece there, Mecole Hardman probably caught 2 balls, but, he's always due for a 90-yard touchdown if you watch the game versus the Ravens. So, things of that nature is something you should keep in mind. Alan Lazard, he's a nobody, but he's part of the Packers offense. Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks there is. Alan Lazard on Cast bench, but, he's a waiver wire player that you could pick up for cheap without, practically not using any budget. You could probably get him, guys of that nature right now. N'Keal Harry, the number 1 wide receiver for the Patriots, picked him up. So, guys of that nature, like I said, wide receivers are deep. So, yeah, I drafted DJ Moore in the 3rd, 4th round, but I can pick up a guy. I did pick up guys like Brandon Ayuk, like N'Keal Harry, who give me just as good of numbers off the waiver wire. So I encourage everybody to do that. And, yeah, I think I'm off DJ Moore this year. I'm not off him as a player, but I don't think that he's going to give the numbers that we expect.
Yeah, I'm not going to hit the full 4 panic button, but I think I'm leaning towards a 3 with him as well, where it's just like you can't trust him anymore. And when is that? Oh, that's got to figure it out. But you got to remember, there's also Robbie Anderson, who's a big part to it too. Obviously taking away some share there. He was getting the targets at least week 1 and 2, but again, he's look at Amari Cooper, hasn't found the end zone yet. So I don't know. There's a lot of season left. I think he's a good candidate to sell, right? To trade. I think these are guys that Amari Cooper, DJ Moore. I think you sell them now. That's my idea with those guys. What do you think, Don?
I think you guys hit it on the head.
So we touched on the injuries. That's our top 25. I do want to bring up the honorable mentions. Honorable mentions, a lot of them may or not, I don't know about a lot, but some of them may be still available for free agency. So, or even, cheap trades, adding them to trade value. So my honorable mention starts with T. Higgins, which we actually saw Chris picked up that I didn't realize until the podcast now. So T. Higgins, Cole Beasley, Marvin Jones Jr., Brandon Ayuk, which we know Dylan picked up, Deontay Johnson, battling with a little bit of an injury, Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, Greg Ward, Darius Slayton, Hunter Renfrow, good old A.J. Green, Jarvis Landry, Emmanuel Sanders, and Marquise Valdez-Scantling, the second head to Lazard. And again, I know it's a kind of a decent list, but those are just honorable mentions that I think can just break out any week. They're not consistent, by any means, but they're guys to look at. Some of them are still available to pick up. So that's the big thing, man. There's people making moves, there's people making trades, the waiver picks, and there's some people I think maybe just aren't doing enough, Dill. And I hope they try to figure it out before it's too late.
Yeah, man.
Transactions really fast. But anything stands out for you guys there? Okay, so there goes Cole Beasley, like we just talked about. Our man Sly, you picked him up. Good job. I like that. Frank Gore is a guy you can put in for depth. I mean, I think they're expecting Le'Veon to come back week 5. I think I'm hearing news that Adam Gase may be gone. So I think the biggest thing for Le'Veon Bell is if he can get healthy and Adam Gase leaves, I think he can be a decent running back. But Frank Gore doesn't hurt. It can be some depth. Fitzmagic, that's your big pickup of the week. If you want to touch on that really fast. We're playing each other.
Yeah, man. If Tannehill's not good to go, Fitzmagic's the guy. Like I said, he's not the prettiest. I said this before. There's guys that the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryans. These elite top level quarterbacks that you draft early. Then there's these guys. Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's scrappy, but the Miami Dolphins will probably lose. But he's one of those guys that always gets you 1 or 2 touchdowns in garbage time. He'll give you 3 touchdowns a game. He'll also give you 3 interceptions. But in fantasy, it doesn't always have to be pretty. And if Tannehill does not good to go, I'm going to have to slide him in. So, there's still guys on the waiver wire. I find them every week, and you guys can too.
Listen, we're not all going to make the right moves. I mean, the more moves you make, the more potential you're going to hit. So the reason I say that is because Chris, to me, picked up Carlos Hyde for 17% of his fab, which is $16. What do you think about that one, Bill?
Yeah, I think that, he's trying to find a plug and play for his RB2. It looks like that Darrell Henderson is going to slide into his RB1 spot without Saquon Barkley, and he just lost Tariq Cohen, so he's going to have to plug in Carlos Hyde for a few weeks. We saw Chris Carson go down, so, that's definitely a big hit for Luke Liguori. Just coming off a loss to Don as well, that's not helping him that he doesn't have, one of his top running backs going into next week. So I think Chris is trying to take advantage of that. Hyde should be, seeing most of the volume. And like I said, man, Chris has been on top, but he's been making moves, so I don't doubt him anymore. I like the move. I know that he's only going to be able to play him for a couple weeks. It's not like he's going to be able to keep him as a starter, for the entirety of the season because Carson will come back. But if he could salvage some points or even a win or two with plugging him in, I respect the move.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things. Nobody wants to spend $16 for Carlos Hyde. He actually technically didn't even have to spend any money on him, but he's in a position where he felt that that's what he needed to do to get the guy he needed. So I think it's subjective, just like a lot of things. Fab it's your fab, it's your money. You spend it the way you need it. Hopefully, it pays off. It is nice to have some money towards the tail end too. Towards the end stretch, right? I've never been in that position, so hopefully this year that works out for me. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised I'm not seeing as many transactions as I expected. I know in my case, I got my eye on at least one guy, but I'm trying to wait for the. I don't think how you guys feel about this too with the health injuries. So Alshon Jeffrey, who we know is going to be out for like week 6 or so, but then they go through like pretty much a period between Tuesday through Thursday where they're just listed as questionable until Friday's report comes out, and then they finally get moved to IR, and then I can finally pretty much move them back to IR where I can add and drop players. You guys have that issue, or how do you guys feel about that issue?
I personally haven't. I don't know. I know Don's been, dealing with injuries. Maybe he could touch on that.
I've just been keeping an eye on what Kittle's doing. I mean, I think I took him second. It's my second pick. And he played 1. They said he was out 2. He said he could have played against the Giants. And then they think he's finally playing and he's going to tear up the Jets. So I hope he plays.
Do you use the IR spot, Don?
For him, I didn't have to. I just kept him on the bench and then picked up Ali Cox.
Actually, I've been using both of mine. So, for example, A.J. Brown and Alshon Jeffrey have been pretty much listed. We know for out. I don't know if A.J. Brown's looking to make a comeback, assuming they play that game. I think this might be the week they're looking to get him back, so I'll take him out of the equation. But we know Alshon Jeffrey's pretty much done till not expected till like a week 6 or week 7 if we're lucky. So see, they have him listed as questionable and not out. So or whatever the listing has to be. So he's in my IR spot, but if I move him out, I can't move him back in until they come out with that report. But beyond that, I can't add a player unless I take him off the IR. So that means I'd have to drop someone else in order to add that player right now. So that's pretty much what I'm saying. I think it's just one of those loopholes, but it does benefit. I do have the same amount of people on my bench, including the IR, that anyone else would have. So it's not like I'm getting a disadvantage, but it's one of those things. Just thought it was interesting to bring up. You guys have anything specific you wanna touch on?
I'm good.
No, I think you covered it all. It's been a long podcast. I just want to say that week 3 was great. A lot of upsets. I'm looking forward to week 4. Hopefully Don can keep, his upset train rolling. If he could take out the commissioner, that'd be insane.
Yep.
And yeah, man, for those 0-3 teams, I just want to say don't give up. Hit the waiver wire, make some trades. You are not out of it yet. And for those top-heavy teams, 3-0 teams, 2-1 teams that are, at the top, you could be taken down in an instant. So, definitely keep your depth up. You never know, injuries, COVID, all that kind of stuff. And
matchup of the week, Don and Bill. Who wants to go first?
Thank you, sir. This was fun. Thanks for having me. Peace.
Don, you're a great guest.
Thank you, sir.
So what's your matchup of the week? All right, we lost our co-host. So I'll just close it up. I'll pick a matchup of the week. I'm gonna have to go with me versus Dill. I think this is one that a lot of us are looking forward to. It's a fun little rivalry. So I'll go with me versus Dill going into week 4. And it could be a swing game. He's 1-2. I'm 3-0. I get the 4-0. That'd be a hell of a start. And I know he wants to get back to 500. So I'm going to pick that game. Other than that, let me just go through the power rankings to close up the segment. I'm not going to miss the power rankings. So number 12, we had Big Boy. Number 11, I have Tooch and Danny. Number 10, I have Adon. Number 9, I have Junior, who I think could be higher, but we have to 0-3. We can't do too much with that. 8, we have Luke Liguori. 7, Joey Koempel. 6, Anthony Castriciano. 5 is me. 5 is Dylan Perone. 4 is myself. 3 is Weezer, and only because number 2, Chris had just beat him, so it's a tough call, but we put Weezer, or our commissioner, number 3. Chris is number 2 right now. That's a huge jump and bump for him. You should be proud of that. And then our number 1 spot takes his crown back in week 4, and probably should have belonged to stay there until we know otherwise, until someone takes him down, basically. We're going to put Luke Adduchio at number 1. that's what we got, guys. Good luck this weekend, as always. I love you all. Hope you watch the podcast and enjoy it. You got any reviews or anything you want us to take out or add or to do better on, just let us know. And let's keep the chat active and fun and positive. All right. It's going to be a good week for you. I love you guys. Have a great night and God bless you all.